series a couple months ago now, I think, looking at how God, as gardener of creation, has called us to be in partnership with Him. He has planted, and we are called to tend the garden that we call creation. And hopefully everyone knows that in these gardening analogies, I'm not saying that God merely wants us to take care of the plants, but this gardening mindset is to apply to all aspects of creation, and particularly to our brothers and sisters. But as we have seen, things went wrong. A desire to make ourselves the chief gardeners rather than the apprentices resulted in a creation gone wrong, and we went wrong. The Greek word for sin is called harmatia. And interestingly, it is not a theological term. It is not a philosophical word. Especially coming from the Greeks, it's not even philosophical. It's an archery term. The word harmatia means simply to miss the mark. Sin is quite simply missing the mark, missing the intended purpose God has for us. All of the brokenness in ourselves and in our world, all of the pain and the suffering that we see is the result of missing the mark, missing our intended purpose that God has for us. All of the things that degrade, all of the things that corrupt and distort and cause brokenness, all of the things that lead us away from God are things that cause us to miss the mark. And the whole sad story of humanity can be summed up in this. We have made a mess of it. But always since the very beginning, there has been a promise, a hope, that one day the gardener would come back and start setting things right. The hint is first, and when God is speaking to the serpent, to the enemy, and to Eve, He says, there is one that's going to come who will crush the serpent's head, even though the serpent will bruise his heel. And this is the penultimate, meaning next to last message in this series on the God of the Garden. We will conclude next week and consider the implication. Oh, no, we won't conclude next week. It'll be the following week. But the next time, we will conclude this series and consider the implications of new creation. But after my message a couple of weeks ago, we need to recap a bit. Jesus came, and for all intents and purposes, He modeled that perfect apprentice gardener image for us. He showed us how to follow and to trust in the Father, how to tend the creation, how to bring healing and wholeness, God's shalom, into the creation. Where His feet tread, He literally brought life. And this was the calling that we all had before the fall, the calling of a holy priesthood, of God's stewards, was to go out from the presence of God into the creation, bringing God's blessings of goodness and wholeness and life, and then to turn around and bring the praises of the creation back in to the Father. But it was as if the dark powers that we unleashed in the fall rallied in those final moments to crush the light that Jesus brought. The final showdown took place, and the light of the world, the obedient, suffering, gardening servant who was Jesus, was taken unjustly and killed. It would seem that all hope is lost. But I now want to turn to our passage today from the Gospel of John. I want to briefly recap it. Mary Magdalene is going to the tomb, and there has been complaints in the past from some people that ask, why is it that In the Gospel of John, it only mentions Mary. It's the other, in the Synoptic Gospels, it mentions multiple women. Well, in the Gospel of John, nowhere does it say if she went there that no one else was with her. It just focuses in on her. And maybe she went there earlier, who knows? But this does not negate the other Gospels telling. Now, when she's going, she is not going there hoping to see a risen Jesus. She is going there to finish the work that she and her friends had started on Friday. Friday had been the day before the Sabbath, before the Passover Sabbath, and they were not able to fully give Jesus' body all of the funerary honors that it deserved. So she's going there to finish some very sad work. But when she gets there, it says the stone has been moved, and she runs away screaming, not thinking that Jesus is raised, but she thinks that body snatchers have come and grave robbers have stolen his body. She probably thinks members of the Sanhedrin have done this as a final insult to Jesus, or more likely they hired someone to do it because they wouldn't have dirtied themselves doing that. She goes to Peter and to John and says, something has happened, you need to come and look. They come and look, and it says that Peter and John both look in the tomb. And it is only then that it begins to say that they believed. I don't think they have a full comprehension of what's happened yet. But light is starting to dawn for them. But really considerate brothers they are, they go walk away and they leave a crying woman at the cemetery. And Mary is there crying until she sees some amazing things. Mary looks in the tomb and sees what seems to be two angels, and they're asking her, why are you crying? And when she says, she turns around and she sees someone that she supposes to be the gardener. The most amazing thing has now happened. The model servant gardener that the dark powers killed is alive again. It is an affirmation that life is more powerful than death, that the Creator has not abandoned his creation. He has not abandoned his garden to destruction. He has lifted up his faithful servant, God has, the one who truly was the apprentice gardener we were always meant to be, and exalted him. And watch this, please don't miss this. Who does Mary think he is? She thinks he's the gardener. And I don't think this is an accident. This is John pointing us all the way back to the beginning, and it tells us something about Jesus. He is not just our example of what we should be doing as apprentice gardeners. He is also being revealed here as the master gardener who made all of this. He's being revealed as the God who is the beginning and end of all things. And apparently he was doing gardener-type things to cause Mary to think he was the gardener. And this is telling as well, Jesus, after the resurrection, is now making his always and forever kingdom now. He has begun the process of new creation in his resurrection. And please don't misunderstand me. This isn't to say that everything is right and good now. We know that it's not. But in Jesus' resurrection, he inaugurated the beginning of new creation. And it is a process that he began working from that moment and is continuing to work on to this day. And in that moment, it is when Jesus calls and says her name, Mary, that she realizes who he is. And he has opened the doors so that we might regain our birthright, our position as his partners in the creation. He tells Mary not to hold on to him because he has to go to his Father, who is now our Father. He has reestablished us as children of God. He has made us new again. Our response to this good news should be to seek the Father, to seek to emulate His Son in all ways, to pray for His Spirit to continue making us new on the inside, from the inside out. To go into the world and be part of its healing, to be about the weeding and pruning and fertilizing and tending of His creation, so that His good will might be done in us and in the world. We are a part of His always and forever kingdom coming into the world. We aren't meant to be passively sitting on our hands waiting to be beamed out of here. We are to be about His work, to be about bringing His goodness into the creation, and then bringing the praise and glory of the creation back to the Father, back to the Master Gardener. When we conclude our series, we will conclude by looking at a tiny glimpse of the new creation, the new reconstituted garden that God is making in Jesus to bring into the world. And it is our anticipation and our hope for those who have put our trust in the resurrected Jesus, our mentor, our friend, and our God. But until then, the resurrection is both joy and a call to action for the faithful. It is joy because it is proof positive that God is indeed saving us. And He is saving the whole world. But it is also call to action because if we have been returned to our status as apprentice gardeners in Jesus' garden, then there is a lot of work to be done. We look forward to that great day when Jesus comes again, ushering in the completion of His always and forever kingdom with the resurrection of the dead, when all things are made new. But as we wait, let us be working as His apprentice gardeners while we wait. And don't be afraid to roll up your sleeves and get a little dirty, because there is a lot of work that needs done. Amen.